Hello everyone, Daryl here. How you doing today? And today we're back at it with the Lincoln Navigator. We've got a front-wheel drive, well, four-wheel drive situation where the four-wheel drive is not engaging properly, and we've traced the problem to the individual wheel end, also called the four-wheel drive actuator. It's a vacuum-powered actuator on these, which I believe was from like 2004 to 2012, 2004 to 2012, I think. And these vacuum-powered ones, they're pretty straightforward, easy, fairly easy to do. We're going to show you how to do it. Takes a little bit of time. If you've never done one before, you know, you're going to take some getting used to. No real special tools, nothing unusual about it. You don't have to worry about adjusting the alignment or anything like that when you're done. It's pretty straightforward, just heavy-duty mechanical repairs that you're going to bolt and unbolt some parts, and hopefully when we get done the four-wheel drive will be working properly like it's supposed to, and we shall see. I do have another video I posted earlier about how to diagnose your four-wheel drive problem to make sure that that's actually what your issue is. But that one goes through and tells you how to jack up the front end and test to see if the problem is actually one of these wheel actuators or not. So we're going to get started here. We're going to pull the front wheel, while jack the car up, lock it, put up the front wheels off, and go from there. And we'll show you how we do it. We've placed the jack under the control arm. We've lifted it up just enough so that the front wheel will spin easily by hand. And what we got the front drive axle here, which comes out from the front differential and provides power to the front wheels when four-wheel drive is engaged. And this is a vacuum operated system using the vacuum actuator, which is right there. Now what it does is it provides continuous vacuum when the car's in two-wheel drive mode to disconnect the wheel hub from the drive shaft. So it's like having lockout hubs, only it uses vacuum. Instead of getting out and turning a little knob, it uses vacuum to disconnect the hubs from the shaft. So what's happening is we're not engaging in four-wheel drive. When I put it in four-wheel drive, the light comes on, but I'm not getting the telltale engagement of being able to, like, difficult to turn, clunking, like jerking feel when you turn tight. None of that's happening. And if you get on a wet or slippery surface and give it the gas, the front wheels don't engage or spin. And I found this last winter when I was stuck in a little bit of ice. It got kind of hard to move. The front wheels weren't engaging and spinning. Plus there was a little ticking noise coming from the front right side, which led me to believe that that actuator was probably failed. So what we do to test this is we get up in the air so that we can spin the wheel, and we watch that axle shaft while we're spinning the wheel. If the actuator is good, the axle will spin too. If the actuator is bad, the axle won't spin. So here we go, spinning the wheel. As you can see, nothing's happening with the axle. There's no connection between the axle and the wheel spinning. The part we're going to be changing, this is the front wheel actuator, and it's vacuum operated with those little hoses you see right there connected to it. And there's, I thought there were 4 bolts hold on. There's actually 3 bolts on these tabs that hold it on. And this is like a vacuum piston type setup in here where my finger's going up and down that pulls in and out as the vacuum is applied to it, and it pushes this gear that you see here, this splined plate, I guess we'll call it, over the hub and engages with the hub to actuate the four-wheel drive. Come to a problem with the individual wheel end, or vacuum actuator as it's called. This is the one I purchased on eBay for $40, which seemed like a good deal at the time because new ones were about $120, but it showed the picture on the thing. It showed it in 2 pieces like this, and when it arrived it was in 2 pieces like that. I didn't think anything of it. Now 3 months down the road I'm getting around to putting it in, and come to find out that's actually broken. I look at it close, there's a ring around there. It's supposed to be connected to that ring there, and this is actually broken and defective. It was sold to me that way by a allegedly competent auto parts supplier of used parts. So I went today to AutoZone, and they actually price matched this brand new one, which a local auto parts store in Flint, Michigan had marked down to $74 or something like that. The usual price AutoZone is like $92, which is still not a bad deal considering I paid $40 for a used one, and a brand new one is $92. Then some discounts, I ended up getting it for like $80. So here it is. We're gonna go put this on right now, and that should solve our problem. Just be careful when you go to buy used parts. If you don't know what you're doing, sometimes you get a bad deal, and some things you're better off buying new anyway because they're not that much more than a used one. All right, now that everything is off, we're going to take the new wheel end actuator, line it up so that the vacuum lines are straight up and down. We're going to slip it over the axle stub, the axle stub. I'm going to slip it over that and then screw it onto the position where it belongs at. We're also going to clean out all the old grease and debris in here and give it a fresh coating of grease inside on the stub bearing and around the oil seal there. Alright, after a little wrestling, it's back into the shaft where it belongs. Now we're going to slide the actuator into its position and put the 3 bolts in. Alright, we put on the center axle nut just to hold everything steady in place. That helped keep that from falling back out. And then I swung it into place, put the bottom nut on the top ball joint control arm assembly. Now I'm going to loop it back around over here and reconnect the tie rod. Alright, we slipped the tie rod end back into position. A little bit of light bleeding through here. I'm sorry about that, but the way the light is right now, it's hard to avoid it. We slipped the tie rod end back into position. We put the nut on it here a couple turns, 24 millimeter I believe. And if the ball joint or tie rod end start to spin, sometimes the bolt will spin on you when you're trying to tighten this. There's a squared off end to it here so that you can put a wrench on it, hold it here while you put a main wrench on here and tighten it up so it starts to tighten and grab. So, you know, it's not a big deal trying to figure out how to hold this steady if it starts to spin, because there's a special spot for that right here on the bottom. The other thing is, we don't have to worry about any sort of alignment issues because nothing alignment wise has been disturbed. The upper ball joint connection and the tie rod connection here weren't changed at all or adjusted in any manner, so the alignment will be exactly the same as it was before we started this project. Alright, you'll want to check the torque specs for your specific vehicle. I did 65 foot-pounds on the tie rod end, 85 to 100 foot-pounds on the top control arm, and 20 foot-pounds on the wheel end bolt. Alright, we're all back together, the wheel's on, everything's in place. It's going to be hard to see here, but we're going to try. Now you can see as I roll the wheel, there you go, you see the axle shaft is turning when I roll the wheel. And it was not doing that before, which is a sign of a bad individual wheel end, or vacuum actuator as it's also called. The next step is to fire up the truck in two-wheel drive mode. When it's running, this wheel should spin freely without that turning. Alright, I don't know, I gotta talk loud so you can hear me, but we've started up the car and I had to rock the wheel a couple times back and forth, but clearly you can see it spinning now, and the axle shaft is not. So that is the proper function on these. Alright, so it's all back together. The wheels and tires are back in place and bolted down, and everything's been checked out. We took it for a test drive, and the four-wheel drive works just like it's supposed to. Between that and the rear wheel bearing hub assembly with the ABS sensor that we replaced, we got rid of all of the lights off the dashboard. The 4x4 light is gone. The four-wheel drive engages properly. The ABS light and traction control light are both out. and didn't require any resetting or anything to have to like read or clear codes or anything. It just reset itself. And thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We're ready for the winter now, and the weather has turned cooler here in Michigan. You can see some of the trees are starting to change. So in the winter weather, we're ready to take it on with the four-wheel drive. I hope weather is good where you are. I hope all my Florida people are surviving the storm okay. And we thanks you for watching. Have a great day. Bye for now.